platform so they could follow us on www.mymedicalbank.com. Hi, Mr. Femi. Good evening.
Hello, good
Thanks
evening.
for
How are you
joining.
doing?
I'm very well, sir. Can you hear
Yes,
me?
I can hear you loud and clear. How about you? Can you hear me?
I'm very well, sir. Thank you for being a part of this.
Okay. Same here. Thanks for inviting me.
Okay, I know a lot of persons that are waiting this moment, and they would like to hear from you how you jaffa, because everybody wants to jaffa in Nigeria. So they really want to hear how you jaffa with home care attendance training.
Okay. Thanks for having me. First, I just want to say that it's kind of funny though, because this entire journey started back in, funny enough, just last year actually. Started last
Really?
year. Yeah, I think it was last year. Last year I had the home care attendant training at Mymedicalbank.
Okay.
You know, at the time my partner and I were, oh sorry, by the way, if I say my partner, I mean my wife. So in case she's
Okay.
in case she's probably watching, I'm kind of used to hearing people say partner here. That's what they used to refer to wife. So we had the plans to, you know, consider relocating. So we're like, okay, you know what, this home care attendant training might be a good idea. So we registered for it at Mymedicalbank. Shortly after, in fact, immediately after the training, like on my last day of the training, I started working with Mymedicalbank as a living care attendant. You know, we did the training, we did the internship, and then almost immediately I started working with them. And while working, you know, I would apply because I wanted a certificate of sponsorship job. You know, I would apply at the same time while working, and I never realized that I was doing a lot of wrong things at that time. I was doing like a lot of things wrong, you know, and a lot of the jobs I was getting then, a lot of jobs I was applying to them were actually NHS jobs that I probably wasn't entirely qualified for. One way or the other, I wasn't really going as planned. Somewhere along the line, out of frustration. Now this is where the twist comes in. Out of frustration, you know, my wife decided, you know what, let's try, you know, applying for the academic route. You know, now she went the academic route and she got the admission like almost immediately. You understand? So that was how we eventually left Nigeria. But now on getting here, that's where things now sort of turned around for me. Should I say that the access that I couldn't get, you know, while I was in Nigeria trying to apply for a care job, I was able to get it here after we got here. Now that is where the, should I say, all the advantages of the training and the internship, and most especially working with Mymedicalbank, that's when it just, everything now sort of became clear to me. And I would say that I was really, really happy that I took that route eventually, because a lot of the things that I thought, okay, it probably wouldn't make so much sense. You don't carry so much weight because it's in Nigeria, you know, with regards to the training and even the working. As in working for my medical bank, it turns out that actually it paid off eventually, because right now I can show you my mail. I have thousands of mail. Well, maybe not thousands, but you know, you get lots of mail, you know, via Indeed, and lots of them always citing due to your experience with Mymedicalbank. Like lots of mail always citing due to your experience with Mymedicalbank, we think you'll be a good fit for this role. Due to your experience with Mymedicalbank, it just everybody kept, you know, every recruiter that, you know, kept emphasizing, you know, that. And also getting into the UK, when I started applying in the UK, that was when I really started taking Indeed seriously. I know my supervisor in Mymedicalbank, if she's watching me right now, she probably will be looking at me like, are you okay? I don't know. I didn't really take it serious until when I got here. You know, so because when I was in Nigeria, I would just probably go on Google and then try to search, you know. But when I was in the UK, that's when I really took Indeed serious. As a matter of fact, Indeed, Total Jobs, and Glassdoor Jobs, those three sites was what really did it for me, actually, in regards to getting a job. You know, I opened an account, an Indeed account, and then just on Indeed, like 247, like sometimes all night, like just applying for these jobs. And you know, and the reason for that was actually, the reason for that level of tenacity was because of the discoveries, which came like a shock to me, you know, with regards to the job space here in the UK, which I believe I would explain later. I don't want to go ahead of you. So just in a nutshell, that's just how the whole thing happened, you know. And right now I'm currently in the UK working as a care/support worker for children with learning disabilities. Yeah.
Oh, that's super amazing. Thank you for sharing with us your experience. So would you like, aside being a certified carer, would you like to take this to another level?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Definitely, I would definitely like to take it to another level. Now this is where it might get dicey for most Nigerians who want to come into the UK. And I remember telling this to a couple of people, and they probably thought that maybe you're not. That can be true, because I said I think I really do like this job. Like I really do like this job. I'll be honest. Stepping into it, getting into it was simply because I wanted to achieve something, but haven't started it. I think somewhere I really do like, not to give away any details, because as caregivers or anybody working within the health and social care space, you know, confidentiality is of utmost importance. So not to give away any information, let me just say that when I started working as a living carer for Mymedicalbank, you know, I got to see a different side of this particular job that, you know, it touched me in a different way. The service user that I was assigned to then, you know, being with him and, you know, supporting him, he brought out sides of me that I never knew existed, you know. And one thing is sure, as a caregiver or support worker, however you choose to title it, you cannot get to the apex of that particular job if you do not genuinely care, as in care for your service user. The only way to be an excellent caregiver is to genuinely care. Like, you must really have that compassion and empathy from your heart. And that's where it gets really dicey, in the sense that you're supposed to be as professional as possible, you know, zero attachment and all that. But then at the same time, what will really make your service user look at you and maybe talk to your supervisor and be like, you know what, I like this person, I want him here, is if you really care for him. So I can say that I really love the job. And even if there might be other things that I might get into later on, I do see myself doing this for a long period of time, definitely.
Thank you so much for that. So from what you just said, you said you must be passionate about being a carer.
Yeah.
But can I ask you this? Have you ever felt like giving up at some point? Because I presume from what you have said, it all started that you didn't really like it. You just wanted to take it at first.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you had at any point in time felt like giving up.
Well, every job has its challenges, and being a caregiver is not in any way exempt from that also. You know, it comes with its challenges. And sometimes if you're not patient enough, you would definitely find yourself in situations whereby you would want to like give up and just end it all, like, you know what, I'm not doing this again. And I can tell you, as a matter of fact, that I've been in a few of such situations. You know, however, if you're someone who has a lot of empathy in you, you would put yourself in the position of your service user. And then I'll tell yourself, how would it feel if I am behaving in a certain way and I don't know how to communicate that to the person who is supporting me? When you think about that, if you really, really are someone who has a lot of empathy, when you think about that, you would actually, you wouldn't take it too serious. That's just it. You won't take it too serious, and most importantly, you would consider that, okay, it's just another day in the office. For example, if you were a boxer, for example, you cannot complain of bruises on your face. You cannot complain of a broken nose. You cannot complain of a broken jaw. It comes with the job. And being here in the UK, it's one of the things that, you know, when they interview you, they want to find out, are you really, really someone who is very, very patient? Do you have the skills and the qualities necessary to actually carry out this job to the fullest? Because they have a clear understanding of the challenges that comes with it. And they don't want a situation whereby, you know, you come in and then, oh, you are complaining about this, you're complaining about that. So it's just important for you to know that, okay, this is what I'm getting into. No matter what happens, it's just another day at the office. I can't complain. You know, I have to be very, very patient. I have to have a good deal of empathy. I have to be very, very compassionate. You know, those three things you should never joke with those three things at all. You know? Okay.
Being compassionate, being patient, and being the last one. Can you please remind me?
Having a lot of empathy.
Yeah. So for those that are listening to us, you know, this for now, I know that being a carer is not just an easy thing, because some persons call me and they want to.
It's like some people will say it's soft work, but it's also hard in some places. You know?
Yes. Okay, to the next question. Can you share with us how well are you enjoying this job? How
well am I enjoying?
Are you enjoying the job?
The job. I would, if you ask me to rate on a scale of 1 to 10, I would say 9. I'll give it 9.
Really? That's a pass mark.
I would definitely give it 9. Okay. And the reason why I would say 9 is because also trying to be as confidential as possible. That will be happening a lot during the course of this conversation. You know, I've been in situations whereby, you know, I felt like, isn't this too much? You know, I'm so sorry, I can't give any details, specifics. Just bear with me. I've been in a situation where I feel like this might be too much. Wow. But at the end of the day, when I'm going home and I see visibly with my eyes the kind of change and influence I've been able to impart in the lives of the service users, it gives me a great deal of satisfaction. You know, I'm going to dive a little bit into my experience while I was in Nigeria when I worked as a living carer for Mymedicalbank. The service user, you know, at some point, I remember at some point during the course of me being with him, you know, I did not even care about how much I was going to be paid, you know, at some point. I remember there was this particular day, my supervisor at Mymedicalbank, you know, she kept calling me because she wanted to know the state of things at some point in time. And you know, she kept calling me. I did not even pick up the phone because all that was in my mind was, okay, let me just get, you know, things sorted out, because that particular day I was really, really busy. There were a lot of things happening, you know. I needed to be like in 10 places at the same time, doing like 1,000 different things, you know. At that point in time, I was not even thinking about how much I was going to get paid after this particular shift or anything like that, or anything that has to do with my own comfort. Everything was just about, let me just keep this, you know, this service user just needs to be okay. He needs to have the best possible care, you know, that he can get, you know, and that's just it. So that's the way I feel about, you know, about taking up the job.
Okay, thank you so much. So to those that are listening to us, Please keep your questions coming. And Mr. Femi is here to give answers to all of your questions. Because
I've been dreading the questions ever since I knew I was going to do this.
Oh, okay. Mr. Femi, here's a question for you. Have you had any experience over there, and were you able to resolve it as a result of training and insight from Mymedicalbank?
Yes, as a matter of fact, pretty much every one of every single experience I've had so far, even despite the fact that right now I work with children with learning disabilities, every single one of my experiences so far, one way or the other, I've been able to link it to a training that I had here in Nigeria. Besides the training that I got here, a lot of it I've been able to link it to the training that I got in Nigeria. You know, there's just been one thing or the other that maybe someone told me that I was able to take and apply to the situation. I probably just need to say this. You forgive me, please. Where I did my internship in Nigeria, the charge nurse there, this man, I think his name is it Kazim or Razak, a Muslim name. I'm sorry, I owe him big time. Like, I'm so sorry I'm calling out names without having to ask for permission if I do. I owe him big time. My interviews, a lot of the interviews that I did, there was a time, during my internship with him, there was a particular day I went to meet him to ask him a couple of questions, and we spoke for about like 30 to 40 minutes. I'm telling you, that period of 30 to 40 minutes that we spoke, that was the internship.
Wow.
For me, that was the internship. He told me things during that period that I applied here during interviews, even at work, that made people realize that, oh, okay, it seems like this guy knows what he's saying. Even during the training with Mymedicalbank, a lot of the training that we did was focused on home care training, and I worked as a living carer. However, on getting to the UK, turns out that if you're working with vulnerable people generally, a lot of those skills are pretty much transferable. My interview when I did my interview at my current place of work, I got the job 3 days later. Do you understand? 3 days later, because they thought I had a lot of experience, maybe like years of experience, and everything I said in the interview was just pretty much based off of my training at Mymedicalbank. Just that, because the skills were just pretty much transferable. That's just it.
Wow. So from all that you have said, I can say you said you worked with your current place of work. You had the job because you were told it's because of the experience you have with my medical bank. Wow, that's super amazing.
And then the things I was able to say during my interview, mostly, and those things were as a result of the training I got in Mymedicalbank also.
Yes, thank you so much for that. And I'm sure the person who had asked that question, I'm sure your question had been answered. So now to the next question. Do you have any idea on how one can get caregiver jobs from Nigeria?
Those are the kind of questions I was really, really avoiding. Yeah, because I'm not a, as they say, I'm not a Japa specialist or Japa content creator. However, I'm not. So, however, I am fully aware that there are still quite a number of companies and organizations here in the UK who are recruiting carers and support workers from outside the UK. That one is certain. I've heard people ask me that question a lot. People say some amount of things that it's like they are not recruiting anymore. They are still recruiting. Now, in terms of numbers, I don't know, but I know they are still recruiting. That one is certain. Now, where to get them? I'm sure if you go on Indeed or any of all these other job platforms, you can get them a lot there. Now, I don't want to sound like a broken record, because I'm pretty sure you guys must have heard this being said a lot of times, and it's like, okay, this guy that went now, he's saying the same thing. Hey, I'm sorry, I don't know what to say. That's exactly one of the places where you can actually get such job opportunities. Now, one thing I would say, though, one thing I will be very, very honest with is that there is a certain challenge that most people outside the UK have. I had that challenge too when I was in Nigeria, and that's the fact that living in the UK, having previous UK experience, sorts of they prioritize it over bringing someone from outside the UK. I'm not saying they don't hire from the UK, but my point is, for some reason, it's like, if I'm going to hire someone from outside the UK and I see someone else who is already in the UK, and I want to give the person in the UK that job, and I want to give them that sponsorship job. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. But the truth is, there's no doubt about it that companies are still hiring outside the UK. On the Telegram group, I don't know if you can drop that link for people who might want to find out more. On the Telegram group, I know such information has been put on the Telegram all the time. Companies that are hiring from outside the UK, and they offer certificate of sponsorship jobs, and also the qualifications that they require, and every other thing like that, all this kind of information. But for me personally, I'm not going to tell you that, okay, these are the list of companies, or there's one special place you go to that and it becomes automatic. You know, I'm always online every day, even on Instagram. It's just that I can't mention certain names, say, if I'm not giving permission to mention it. Even on Instagram, there are lots of should I say, as they call them, relocation or jackpot content creators, and they share some of these success stories of people who got COS jobs from Nigeria. I see it regularly.
Okay.
I know the most recent, I don't know if it's recent, but this issue of Nigeria being on some sort of red list might have caused some buzz or anything like that. After that news broke out, I still saw some people who actually got COS jobs. So just be rest assured, nobody should panic, please. you can still get COS jobs from Nigeria. That one is certain. In terms of it's just that, like I said earlier, in terms of numbers, that could mean anything. That could vary, but definitely you can still get the jobs. People are still hiring. Join the Telegram group. You can. I don't know if you can drop the link. It's not anywhere. The Telegram group by Mymedicalbank, they have such information every now and then. In fact, that Telegram group is saturated with information, and there are so many other platforms that you can even join to find out about it. And then if you've not really dived into Indeed, I think you should do that. You have lots of serious job openings there. Indeed, Total Jobs, Glassdoor Jobs, and all that. So
thank you so much.
I hope I was able to answer that question, because that's the kind of question that I really need.
Yes, you said with the COS job shared on Telegram group, one can get a job in a medical one. Yeah. Okay, now there's another question for you, sir. The next question is, because a lot of persons ask this question, are you sure this certificate I earned from Mymedicalbank is recognized in the UK? So can you please share with us how true is this? Is it recognized in the UK?
Okay, well, let me say this: every single job interview that I did, that I mentioned to them that I had training in Nigeria, they asked for the certificate. I have Mymedicalbank's photocopied, as in the photocopy is in maybe 6 different companies as I'm talking to you right now. So trust me, it is recognized. They are not going to say, oh, certificate from Nigeria, man, get that out of here. Nobody's going to tell you that. If you tell them, look, I have a certificate, care training in Nigeria, fine, bring it, let us see. Now, this, the only thing is, they will collect the certificate, it's recognized. They need to see that, okay, you've done this training, but after seeing it, they keep it in the archives. Then now, okay, now tell us what you know from that training that you did.
Okay. Okay. So you are now saying it's not just the certificate.
It's not just the certificate. Nobody's going to throw away. Nobody's going to throw away the certificate. That this certificate. No, nobody's going to do that. As a matter of fact, if you tell them you have a certificate, they'll be more than happy to let's have it. Let's see it. And thank God, Mymedicalbank has a very, very good online presence. You could simply type Mymedicalbank into Google, and the first thing that comes up is website. You go into the website, you see a number, an email address or something, because so once they start doing all that, they're okay, this Mymedicalbank looks like an organization that is legit, because they can easily contact someone via email to get a reference. So if anybody is having doubts as to whether the certificate will be of any use, trust me, it's a great advantage for you, but you have to be able to back it up with what you say. Whatever is here, you have to be able to back it up. Let me just add this one thing. There's a particular phrase that you see a lot when you apply for care jobs, care assistant jobs, support worker jobs, however you choose to name it. There's a particular thing you always see: no experience needed, no prior experience needed. Yeah, that is true. But when you come for the interview, they are still going to ask you questions that will require you to know something. They don't need you to have an experience, but they need you to at least know something. They expect you to do your research and be able to know this, because eventually they're still going to ask you, okay, if you're working with a service user for the first time, how do you go about working with him or her for the first time? They're going to ask you such questions. Now, how do you answer that question if you don't know that, oh, the first thing I should do is ask for his or her care plan and read through it? But now, you don't need an experience to know about care plan. All you need to do is just do a simple research on what is needed to be a carer or a support worker, and it will pop up somewhere along the line. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying.
Okay.
So nobody's going to refuse the certificates, but after collecting it, they will now say, okay, tell us what you were, they ask you questions that will validate whether you were paying attention in class or not. So that's it.
Of a truth, no examiner will ask that. No examiner will ask if you were taught well in class or not. Thank you so much. Another question for you. What are some transferable skills you think is very important for a carer, apart from being passionate about the job?
Okay, apart from being passionate about your job, a lot of the transferable skills, I would say, for example, being a good communicator, having good listening skills also. It's another very, very transferable skill. As a matter of fact, I don't think there's any one skill that you can talk about when it comes to caregiving that you cannot transfer to, supported living or support or a support worker job. Good communication, good listening skills, being able to multitask and do like multiple things at once. Being able to strong as in emotional strong emotional intelligence, also very, very important, because you will need it on the job. And of course, I've mentioned things like empathy, patience, and being compassionate, which are qualities you need to have. And also, if I'm to look at some more professional qualities and skills, you need to understand certain things like PBS, positive behavioral support. It applies in all of them, whether you are a caregiver, healthcare assistant, mental health care assistant, living carer, support worker, whatever it is. PBS is very important. You need to understand about safeguarding. safeguarding vulnerable individuals. You need to understand RPI, restrictive physical interventions. Any of these three, or sometimes all of it, can come up while you are doing any of these kind of jobs. Any job that falls under health and social care, you need all of these things. I don't know if you get me. I have a neighbor right now.
Okay.
No experience, no training, nothing. Had a few chat, had a chat with him on with regards to PBS and RPI. The next time he got a job, he was going there as new guy, but because of what I told him, 5 minutes of discussion. Right now, the service user is trying to book him for a more permanent contract. He works for an agency. They're trying to book him for a more permanent contract. So that's just one of the skills, or a few of the skills that are pretty much transferable across the board. You know, in any field that falls under health and social care. What else again? Okay, I think that's pretty much it. There are a lot, but I just mentioned a couple stuff that I can remember right now. Okay. So, and the reason why sorry to cut you short, the reason why I'm specifically talking about the fact that the skills are transferable is that so that you don't think that, oh, okay, I did home care training, I can apply as a support worker. No, you can apply as a support worker. I was trained in home care. I worked as living carer, pretty much close, but right now I'm a support worker for children with learning disabilities. So it's very much, I'm a living proof that the skills are very much transferable. I didn't have to do any special training before I got a support worker job, and that should even let you know by now that those of you who are applying for caregiver training, you can also broaden your search and include support worker. It will bring up more opportunities for you, more job opportunities for you, because not everything is just like, okay, caregiving. There are other aspects of it. Support worker. I didn't even know anything about support worker until I got to the UK. I didn't even know anything. I didn't even know there was something called support worker. I was just applying for caregiving, care assistant, care assistant, home care. That was all I was just doing. Then someone just told me about support worker. Like, wait a minute, what's the difference really? And
what's the difference?
What's the difference really is I think it's just the environment and then the name that they give to it, and then a few differences here and there.
Like what and what?
Well, in the sense that for support work, it's the best way to, should I say, describe it is what I heard someone say once. They call it assisted living. So it's like assisted living. So it's like you have a service user who needs extra support to live a normal life the way you and I would.
Okay.
They may not have any illness that you would require, that you refer to as being terminal. It's not as if they are getting to the end of their lives. A lot of them are probably like teenagers and children. It's just that they have certain behaviors that are considered to be challenging behaviors that would prevent them from living a normal life like you and I. So what you and I would do to live a normal life, they can't do all of it. They can probably do some or probably none at all. So that's where you and I come in to fill in the gaps for them. So that's more of what a support worker does. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. So, is there any age limit to being a carer?
Absolutely not. I have work colleagues who are younger than me, and some who are like old enough to be my dad. So there is really no age limit at all. So.
Okay. So you mean if I'm 65, if I'm 60, I can also work at 15?
I have a 60-year-old colleague. I have a 60-year-old colleague. So think about that. So.
Okay.
The only thing is that, based on your abilities, both your training and physical abilities, in terms of your age, maybe there might be certain, service users that you might not work with, and then there might be some certain service users that you would probably work with. But there is nothing like, oh, you are too old. Nah, nothing like that. I have a colleague who is like 60 years old, and we work together, and they are very good at what they do. So.
Okay. Yes. So the person who asked that question, I'm sure the answer has been given already. There's no age limit. As long as you are fit enough, you can become a carer. So now to the next question. Can you share with us some questions you think is